Hey y'all, welcome to Fitting and Homemaking. Today we are going to be taking a look at my work from home chore routine. So these are the things that I do throughout the day on the days that I work from home. If you are new to the channel, I do have a full-time job and I go into the office 3 days a week, and I'm able to work from my house twice a week. And on those days, I tend to try to do chores so that I don't have to do so much on the weekend, and I can spend more time with my family on the weekends and in the evenings. Now, on this day, of course, the day that I chose to film a typical day, it was atypical. I'm actually really needed to change out my sheets. We have had rotating illness going through our family. So you see me stripping my bed, but I did put an inset of what I normally do in the upper right there. Normally, I just fold the blankets down and let the bed air out. And then after I'm done with the bed, from 6 to 6:30, I get ready. And then my husband and I switch caring for the kids and getting ready for work. And at 7, that's generally when we try to leave for work, and I take the kids to daycare for their drop off before coming back home for work. Usually after daycare drop off, I run errands. On this day, I had to drop off some books at the library, and then I needed to go to the grocery store to get a few things. So here I'm just unloading our groceries. Looks like I got milk. I found some yogurt that was on sale that day, some eggs. So just things that we go through a lot of in general. This is me moving some bottles that have been stuck in the door that keep hitting me in the head when the door shuts on its own. And I just go back and forth a lot. So I'm putting up our bags. I'm putting up some extra coats that had kind of gathered in my car. Struggling to get this coat off. Like I said, we had some sickness in the family that was still ongoing at this point, and my son actually puked on my other coat that I like to wear in the winter. So I'm stuck with doing a kind of insert and my raincoat situation. And here I'm just tidying up things that didn't get tidied beforehand. So just grouping all the toys over there, opening up the blinds so that doesn't look like we're living in a cave. Those flowers were dying off. And I'm pausing to take my shoes off so I don't track up the house. Apologies for the lighting here. So then I'm going into the bedroom and I am opening the curtains again, so it's not so dark. And because of the age of my kids and they just get into everything, our room isn't completely child-proofed. So we do normally keep our door shut. So I always like to make sure that I leave the door open. There's me grabbing my snacks and my drink from the night before. And you can see there's dishes in the sink that we didn't get to, but this is mostly me just seeing if there are any of these flowers still alive that we can save. These were flowers that when we were in the grocery store, my daughter saw them and said that we need to buy some flowers for Daddy. So we got some flowers and she just really likes having them up. And it's nice. It's winter. Right now I don't have any other plants in the house. I did have some house plants that eventually died after they had done well for 20 plus years. But they got moved into my husband's music room, and then I try to keep that space somewhat private for him, and they just got a little bit neglected, unfortunately. And as I'm doing the voiceover, I know these flowers are probably dead now because it's a bit later from when I filmed this. So I probably need to do the exact same thing again. We had this massive trash bag in the trash bin because one of the things I needed to get at the grocery store was garbage bags. And I had run out. All right. So on my work from home days, I always do laundry. So that gets twice weekly laundry loads. And then usually I do one more load on the weekend, but then it's not. And by load, I mean like a day worth of loads, not just a single load. But that way it's not too bad. And I have recently switched to using the OxyClean powder rather than the spray to see how that works. I'm sorry, talking is difficult. And it's actually been working quite well for me. I was getting really tired of spraying every single stain on my kids' clothes. And I was just going through the liquid stuff really quickly at that point. But just being able to fling some powder in the bottom before I put the clothes in has really worked nicely. And here you can see I've gotten the new bags. I'm going to put that in here so we're not wasting the massive bags. Me being disappointed that the dishwasher is not empty. Because I have all these dishes I need to put up. And there was hand wash that was sitting out and kind of drying but wasn't dried yet. But this is still in the morning before I have gotten to my day job, I guess I will call it. Usually I call it work. But day job may be a little bit less confusing. All right, now that I have the hand wash stuff put up, I actually have somewhere where I can stage these other dishes if I need to. Kind of pull them all out at once. Excuse me. I didn't think y'all could probably see me. And I don't know if any other moms who have plastic flatware for their kids hate drying those things off as much as I hate drying them off. But it's always a pain. I've heard tricks of how you can, hang a towel in there with it partially open, and that's supposed to absorb the water so that you don't have to dry off your plastic things. Or you can run the heat cycle on there, but it just seems like a waste of energy to run the heat cycle. But I also can't leave it open because my kids will get into it. Both of my kids really like helping with chores right now, but they don't understand that there is very hot, steaming water happening in the dishwasher, and sometimes they try to open it mid-cycle, so we have to be pretty careful. And this is me stopping and thinking, I haven't had much to eat or drink today. Actually, I've had nothing to eat at this point. Just had some sips of water. So I'm getting the kettle on so that I can have some tea ready for my breakfast when I get to that point. But as you'll see coming up in a bit here, I do work at our dining room table. We don't have a separate office space. So I do tend to need to have the kitchen, kind of picked up and clean. So I'm just not distracted by things being left undone. Now, I can't always do this, if I have a really early meeting or, a project deadline coming up or something. But when I do have the time to do this, I like to do it before I get into work. I wish I could actually do it this fast in real life. Oh, there must have been eggs on there. I was like, where am I going with that plate of food? I scraped some eggs into our dog Max's bowl. I'll adjust the volume on that so my dog's eating is not quite so loud since he is right by y'all. And then I just have to dry all the plastic things again. All right, now you get to see me do the hand wash dishes because we haven't done enough dishes this morning yet. I always got to wash out the sink, otherwise I feel really gross about it doing the dishes. And for some reason, I can never open our soap dispenser and refill it. So you just saw me like take out the actual bottle of soap there. I think my husband did refill it later this day. And this griddle's been really useful for cooking, but it is such a pain to wash just because of the size of our sink. I always end up either soaking myself or getting water all over the floor. This must have had something greasy in it based on the amount of soap I just used. I also really like these grates that we use when we cook, but they're a bit of a pita to wash. Are we done with dishes now? Yay! Now for drying again. All right, now time to make some breakfast. I usually do 2 scoops, so like a quarter cup-ish of just regular oats, and then I put in a packet, like a pre-made packet of oats. And yay, my tea is steeped by now. And then I mix it just with some milk. And then nuke it in the microwave for a couple minutes. For some reason, I find oatmeal really sticks with me, and I got in the habit of eating oatmeal as if I was 80 when I actually started doing runs in the morning when I was training for half marathons back in a previous life before children. And I am someone who does like milk in their tea. But I found I was able to exercise with the oatmeal in my stomach, and it gave me enough energy without making me want to vomit. So I've got my oatmeal, I've got a little yogurt cup, I've got my tea, and I think I have a mandarin down there. So, like you saw on screen, it's a little bit after 8:30, and I am getting to work, about to put in my earbuds. Now that I have the kitchen clean and the laundry started, and some tidying done. And this is pretty much what it looks like when I work. I'm just tip-tapping away on a computer. And honestly, I usually am eating as well. All right, so I heard the laundry go off. Gonna put my dishes up. Because why create more work for myself later by leaving them out? Let's just kick all this stuff out of the way, clean out the lint traps, we don't start fires. I am fairly paranoid about that. I'm like, if I don't clean this lint trap out every single time, bad things are going to happen. Like, the stuff isn't going to get dried, or it's going to start a fire or something. I don't know. Maybe was overly exposed to fire training when I was little. Our firefighters in the fire district where I grew up were very friendly with the elementary school. One of their sons was actually in my class. The fire chief, his son was in my class. We went to the same church. So I was probably way more aware of house fires than most kids were. But yeah, I wonder if it was maybe a little bit too much. Anyway, clean out your lint traps regularly, please. All right, next load goes in. And even though this was a week where people were getting sick, this was before like was this before? Yes. My son had not started puking multiple days in a row at this point. That was after this, but the day I am doing this voiceover was the first day I have not cleaned pukey clothes or linens in about 5 days. So that's good. But I'm here just doing laundry like my normal, not knowing what was coming of having to do at least a load of laundry each day that I was going to have to like pre-treat in a shower so that I could hose everything down first before putting it in the washing machine. All right, so those were the kids' clothes. Back to work, pulling up my pants because they don't fit that great. All right, and it's time to take Max for his walk. It was really cold this day. Sometimes I take him for a walk right when I get back from doing errands, but we waited a little bit longer. All right, and this is a little bit later. It's 10:15 now. So first load of laundry is done getting dried, and the second load is done being washed. So right here, I am actually separating out the sheets that I stripped from the bed earlier, trying to make sure there isn't anything stuck in this fitted sheet, including the dryer balls. And I'm just going to dump those on the bed to deal with later because I do not want to fold them. But the rest of the stuff just gets shoved into this basket. I generally do not fold laundry or put laundry up during the day when I'm working because I find it takes too much time. I try to keep the times when I'm switching over the laundry load to be about 5 minutes or so I'm not taking too much time away from work. And I do usually wait until, I'm in between tasks. I think the previous time was like around 8 when I was putting in the laundry, and this is 10:15. I think my washing machine only takes like 45 to 50 minutes to do a normal load of wash, and then I usually put the dryer on 60 to 70 minutes. So I think these had been done for a little bit, but this was just the point that I was getting to them. Now I'm putting my laundry into the washing machine, and the kids' laundry is in the dryer. I just remembered, I should wash my PJ pants. Let me grab this out of the drawer. And this was a sheet that we had put down on a rug before to have like a little picnic, camp out movie watching thing on our rug, and I knew the rug wasn't terribly clean. All right, and I am going to go ahead and make the bed instead of folding these. Sometimes I do have a different set of sheets for this bed, and sometimes I'll just go ahead and make the bed with those sheets right after I strip them, but that just wasn't going to happen this day. Here I'm realizing there's more lint than anticipated on the bed. Me trying to decide which pillow cover I should use for which pillows. 2 of these pillows are the same type of pillows, and then the pillow that's kind of slumping over on the other side is my husband's pillow. He likes his pillows much squashier, I guess I would say, than I do. So I always want to be able to tell which one is his without picking it up. So his is getting this green pillowcase. Looking out to see what Max is barking at crazily. Our bedroom is at the back of the house, and the back of our property backs up onto a 4-lane road, but we do have it's a 6-foot fence around our backyard, but he can see through the slats a little bit. So if anyone's walking by, he lets them know that this is his house. And usually I don't lint roll my bed, but I just noticed there was a lot of lint on it. So I went ahead and did that this time. And I don't know if I am just terribly out of shape, but making a king-size bed is not the least strenuous thing on earth. This mattress is quite heavy. And you get to see how particular I am about making a bed. I actually don't tuck the top sheet in because I feel like a little trapped when I do that. But I'm someone who has to have the sheets like completely smooth. I've told my husband when we got married that he never needs to make the bed because I'm overly particular about it. And I know that there aren't like logical reasons for that. It's just I like it a very specific way. And I find when other people make it, like I want to go behind them and check to make sure that it's done that very specific way anyway. So, which is not nice to have someone go behind you and check your work, so to speak, when you're trying to do something nice for them. So I've just told him this is one of the things that, like, please just don't ever bother with it. I know I'm being overly particular for no reason. So all right, and now it's about noon, so it's time to switch the laundry again. Yay! And that thing sitting on top of the dryer is just a little sweater of my son's that I didn't want to put in the dryer to dry because it's not too small for him, but I also wouldn't want it to shrink any at all. So it's just getting a little ambient heat to dry since it's a little small to hang up on something. It's me checking to see if it's dry. It's not quite dry there. And you gotta clean out that lint again. And a lot of my clothes, they're kind of like athletic wear or quick dry stuff. So I don't throw those in the dryer. But that's one of the things that you saw me hang up there. I figure if it's something that can hang dry and it's of a certain material where it's not going to stretch too much on a hanger, I might as well just hang it up on the hanger and save me a step from hanging it on a drying rack. But other stuff does go on the rack, like my sweaters. And I always take the drying rack into my room in preparation for my kids coming home at some point because they will knock it over and pull all the stuff off and just drag it around on the floor. And now it's my husband's clothes' turn to get washed. And I have to be pretty diligent about checking all the pockets. My pockets are small enough where I don't really typically keep anything in my pockets. But of course, he's a guy, so he has, actual functional pockets on his clothing that he uses regularly. So there's usually a little something in there. All right, so in the middle of the day, I take lunch, and usually during my lunch, I film a video for y'all. And then I went back to work this day around 1:15. So 2:30, time to switch laundry again, and that sweater is dry now. So I just plopped it on top. I think this day was the day I filmed the declutter under the sink video during the lunch. But I'm pretty happy because this is the last laundry switch of the day that I'm going to do. I do have a little bit of a bad habit of leaving the last load in the dryer since I don't have to start a new load or switch the load. And sorry, this is a little bit hard to read, but I can't deal with visual clutter, and I know I'm not going to deal with this laundry right away. So I usually put a big towel or a sheet over it and tuck it around the massively overflowing laundry basket. And for some reason, that makes it way less distracting for me. My husband gets off work before I do, and he generally picks up the kids before I am done with work. So on the days that I work from home, my last hour of work, I generally move into the bedroom, which is also partially why, I make sure it's tidy in the mornings. I know I'm going to be working in that space as well. But I knew I was going to be staring at that laundry while I finished up work. So I just cover it up with a sheet or a towel or whatever large accommodating item has been dried properly. And this is me kind of off camera. I'm just hanging up some hang dry stuff of my husband's so that it doesn't get yucky. And gathering all the lint again. All right, and 8:15, the kids are in bed. So normally this would be the time that I tackle this laundry. And if you have an eagle eye, you will notice that I'm wearing different clothes in this. This is a different day. This did not happen on the same day. Normally it would, but because of the sickness that had been going through my family, I had used up all of my backlog of videos because I wasn't being able to film on my normal filming days. So the video that I made during lunch on this day, the under kitchen sink declutter video, I actually had to edit it that day. So instead of doing the laundry that evening like I normally would have, I edited that video so I could post it on my usual posting schedule. And then I think the next day was a day that I had a work conference in a few towns over, and that added like an hour and a half to my normal commute that day. So I was done. So I think this is actually 2 nights later that I'm finally taking care of this laundry and putting it up. But normally I would do this on the same day because I don't like having that laundry basket on the dresser there. And my husband's just like in the other room watching YouTube videos and decompressing from his work and the kids and all of that. So that is what a kind of typical work from home day with chores looks like for me. Um, it's very busy. I don't have much downtime at all, so I tend to be pretty tired. So sometimes the days I go into the office are a little bit more of a break because I'm not also trying to fit in household stuff in between. But yeah, I feel like that's all moms who have jobs in general. You're just, let alone, trying to do YouTube and filming and that sort of thing. But time is definitely at a premium. My kids tend to wake up between 5 and 6 a.m. every morning, so even just staying up to 9 each night feels a little bit exhausting, especially when you've just been going constantly. But yeah, I always thought I was planning on originally having 2 work from home days in case there was anything atypical that happened. But then my husband got sick and he was home from work the next day that I was planning on filming the second half of this. And I didn't want him to feel like he couldn't do what he needed to do to feel better that day, since he obviously is not wanting to be on camera and all that sort of thing. So I did my best with this, trying to make it kind of as typical as possible, even though I had to splice a couple days together here to make that happen. But thank you for making it this far to the end. Part of my aim in making this video was I do want to try some other cleaning routines. So I kind of wanted you guys to see what I typically do as, kind of a standard, so that when I start trying some other routines, we can see how it's different. But thanks for the support. If you like this, please subscribe. See you next time.